everyone, my name's Kevin Funk. Welcome to Big Night In. So today we're going to be cooking some fettuccine Alfredo from scratch outside of the noodles, a nice salad on the side, and a dressing, and I believe you're going to get a dessert with this dinner. So let's begin. Alright, so we're going to begin with the salad, because that is something we can prep ahead. Just leave the dressing off it, and then we'll put it in the fridge as we do the rest. So you're going to take your lettuce, chop it up if it isn't already for you. First wash it. Lettuce in the bowl. It's a very basic salad. It's just going to consist of some lettuce, red onion, little cubes, and some tomatoes. And then we're going to whip up a little vinaigrette. So we're going to chop some onion. Rough spot there. Alright, this is kind of personal preference for me. From onions in the salad, I like them a little bit bigger chunks, like thin slices, but longer. So I just take half the onion like this, cut the root end off in the top, and then I'll just slice it like this. If you have a mandolin, awesome. If not, just like that, and then break them apart. Add them to your salad. Tomato. Just cut the top off there. I like to slice it into medallions. Then I'll stack them like that. And give them a rough chop, decent size like that. Alright, now we got our little cukes. Just cut the end off like that, and these are going to leave as little circles rolling all over the place. Simply add them in. That is essentially done outside of the vinaigrette. So what we're going to do is just put that in the fridge as we get going on the fettuccine. Alright, so now we're going to begin on the sauce for the fettuccine Alfredo. So the Alfredo sauce, we're going to start with a little bit of butter or olive oil. That's completely up to you. I like mine a little creamier, so I'm just going to add a couple tablespoons of butter there. Turn on my power here. Get her going pretty good. Let that melt down. Now you can go one of two ways here. You can just melt it and get the onions right in there. If you have the olive oil, just heat it up, get the onions in there. Or you can brown it. Just be careful not to burn it. I love brown butter. It adds a whole different level of flavor to it. So that's what I'm going to do here. And that just requires a little bit longer cooking. It'll slowly golden up. But you got to be careful. You don't want to push it too far or it'll burn. So just keep an eye on it. While that's going, we're going to cut our onion. This is a fairly large yellow onion. My family loves onions, so that is okay. So what I did there is I cut the root end off at the top, same way we did with the red onion, and discard. I can smell this is starting to brown already, so I'm just going to turn it down. I do not want that burning. Alright, so we're going to dice these onions. So how to do that quickly and efficiently is just slice down like that, about a 1/4 inch from the end. And then you're going to go perpendicular. Be careful here because you're going towards your fingers, and you also want to leave that 1/4 inch at the root end. And then you're going to keep your fingers safe. Just simply slice down like that. And it's going to dice it up for you The root end, you can just kind of put it down and do that. Same thing for the other half. Sharp knife, quick cutting, no tears. Dull knives make tears. It's the juices that come up when that happens. So my butter is nice and brown, and I'm gonna add my onion. All right, so we're gonna cook these down until they're translucent. Takes a couple minutes. Give them a stir. All right, so our onions are about halfway done. Give them a stir. Now we're gonna get some garlic in there. So I've got 3 cloves. I've taken the peels off. And they're ready to go. So we're gonna cut these things the same way we did with the onion, down across and then dice, mince, whatever. If you have a garlic press, you can just use that. Alright, got those pretty small, but if you want them smaller, just do that. Okay, the reason why we're adding the garlic a little later than the onions is garlic burns a lot quicker than onions do. So if you add them at the same time, you run that risk. So our onions are now translucent, they're pretty much good to go. We're gonna add our garlic, stir it around. And now we're gonna hit it with some salt and pepper. So, I've got these whole black peppercorns. Any pepper that's already done for you is fine. I just really enjoy doing this. I think it's the smell. That's roughly a tablespoon, give or take. Salt, about the same. You'll taste that later, so you can hit it with more salt if you need it, or leave as is. All right, so now I'm gonna add some chicken broth. I got here roughly a cup of it. I'm just gonna add that in. Bring it to a boil. Turn the temp way up. And once it starts boiling, we're gonna drop her down to medium-high heat. Then we're gonna add some cream. We want a lot of this to leave. Stir it around. All right, now it's time to add our acid, lemon. We're gonna use half the lemon here and half for our dressing or vinaigrette for the salad. So we're gonna take this lemon, simply squeeze it over top so that the seeds don't go in. Stir it up. All right, so we got here some cornstarch. We can lower our temperature there to kind of a simmer. Teaspoon of cornstarch. We're gonna stir that in. That's gonna thicken the sauce a little bit. So I'm gonna swap this wooden spoon out for a whisk at this point. Stir that cornstarch in there. And now we're gonna add our cream. All right, so we got about 2 cups worth of cream here. And we're gonna stir that. All right, Now we're gonna let this sit for roughly 10 minutes. So you can get a pot of water boiling now. So we're gonna start on the noodles. All right, so while we wait for our water to get going, we've got our sauce on simmer. It's thickening up before we add the cheese to finish that off. But we're not gonna do that till later. Once the noodles are complete, then we're gonna finish our sauce. So you've got that sitting off to the side, and now you're warming up some water to get that boiling, to get the noodles going. We're gonna make our vinaigrette for the salad. Use time efficiently here. So we're gonna use a 1/4 cup olive oil. The rest of that lemon. A teaspoon of sugar. A tablespoon of Dijon mustard. And a tablespoon of honey. Whisk it up. All right, so we got our ingredients in there. Now we're just gonna whisk this. Test it. And if you like it, great. If you want to add a little bit more of the lemon, honey, whatever, adjust to your own liking there. That's one thing with vinaigrettes, you can mess around, you can't really screw it up. This one I'll probably add a tiny touch more sugar. My wife likes it sweeter, so to me that's good, but to her she'll eat a little more sugar. So yeah, now our water is just about ready and we're gonna get going on the noodles. All right, so I got here roughly 500 grams of fettuccine noodles. Our water's good to go. But we're gonna add them in. So I'm gonna break these first, shorten them up a little bit. I have 3 kids, so I gotta cut it up later for them anyway, so this is just helps out with that. And spin them kind of when you put them in there so that they don't clump together. Mix them around. If you just put them in there, some of the noodles are gonna stick, and that's no good. So we're gonna boil those. It's gonna take roughly about 10 minutes. You're gonna let your sauce just sit there. Once these noodles are done, we'll strain them, rinse them, set them aside, and finish up our sauce. Also, you can add a little bit of butter or oil into your water. It helps with that. So, salt too. If you want a little bit of a saltier pasta dish, salt that water a little bit. I like salt, so I do that. You don't have to do that. Taste your sauce. If you think there's enough salt there already, just leave it. Okay, so we got a good head start on our noodles. They're about half done here. Now I'm gonna finish up the sauce. So you probably have it on your stove top there where you have them side by side. Here I just have this induction here, and then I just shut it off. And I got to do it over there and here, so that's why I'm bringing it back and forth. But you're going to want to do these 2 things simultaneously. You can add the cheese now. The reason we wait until the noodles are almost done with the cheese is because the cheese takes a lot of babying. You got to watch it and stir it, and if you don't, it'll burn to the bottom and it makes a mess for cleanup later, and we want to avoid that. So now we're going to add our cheese. So we got this on a low temperature simmer. We're going to add Parmesan and mozzarella. All right, so now we're going to add roughly 200 grams of mozzarella. This is more than that, almost double. So yeah, roughly 200 grams. Just a couple cups. Stir it in. Now the parm. Seems like a lot of cheese, and that's because it is. And that's what you want. So we're gonna let that melt a bit, and then I'm gonna stir it. And you're gonna wanna stir quite a bit so this doesn't stick to the bottom. If you have a nice non-stick pan, all the better. But yeah, just keep an eye on it. All right, so now our cheese is melting in there. Keep stirring, and we're gonna add our chili powder and paprika. Alright, so our noodles are done. Our sauce is done once you add the spices and stir it in there. Turn the heat to really low so you don't burn it. As low as you can go. You're going to strain your noodles off, give them a rinse, get some of that starch off there so they're not sticking to each other. And then we're going to pour our sauce over top. Now you can pour it directly into the pot, and I'll show you that, or you can spoon it out individually if you'd like. But we're going to go strain ours off. I suggest you do the same. See you in a bit. Alright, so test your sauce. Try it. If you need more lemon, if you need more salt, pepper, adjust. It's important to taste that. If it's good, great. So we've got our noodles here strained. We're going to spoon it out. Now, I like to individually spoon out my sauce onto the noodles. Some people like to just pour it all in there, like my wife, but I like to kind of control what I'm doing here. Alright, so that's that. So we're going to set that here. Now we got some parsley. And we're just going to, this is curly parsley. Flat leaf works. Also dry. Alright, our salad is in the fridge. It is chilled and ready to be eaten. Dish it out. Try and get everything on there. Equal portions. Tomatoes. It's a very clean, fresh salad. And you got your dressing here. And you're just going to take a couple teaspoons of it, or whatever you want really. Just gonna spoon it out over top. And there we have it. The salad, the Alfredo, and a lovely dinner. Your big night in. Hope you enjoy. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thanks for hanging out with me. Hope to see you again soon.